Kirill Maximov is a genius. He is a young resident of Moscow who designs computer games for a living, and he's very good at it. He loves his life, unaware that he is about to meddle in the affairs of the worlds. One day, he wakes up in the back of a police car. Fortunately, the police officers release him without any trouble. Left alone, he opens his phone and finds a map to an unknown place. On the other side of the city, a man named Anton Vladimirovich just recruits a young woman named Anna to join his special mission. Anna is walking home when someone in a costume surprises her. Turns out, the man behind the costume is Kirill, Anna's boyfriend. Kirill surprises Anna with a holiday ticket to a beach for her birthday. Instead of being happy, Anna gets upset because her birthday is actually yesterday. She then spots Kirill's friend, Katya Chagin, behind a tree and greets him. Anna turns to Kirill and gives back the ticket, also ending their relationship that night. In Kirill's office, all the employees are celebrating the launching of a new video game. Kirill is surrounded by a lot of female colleagues asking for a selfie. But, Kirill ignores all of them and goes to Katya instead. Katya tells him that he thinks Anna is no longer a good match for him, and he has to move forward. Kirill doesn't answer him and suggests they go home. When Kirill arrives at his apartment, he is calling for his dog but gets no answer. Suddenly, an unknown woman comes from inside the house. The woman insists that it is her house and she'll be calling the police. When the police arrive, they check Kirill's document and it's written that indeed it's his house. But when they got into the house, everything changed. All the interior design and furniture aren't the same as it was before, unlike what Kirill has known. The woman also has documents that state that the apartment belongs to her. Even when Kirill is trying to take his dog, the dog doesn't recognize him. The next morning, Kirill and Katya are going to the Municipal Services Center. The staff there says that they don't have Kirill in their database. They also go to the other government offices, but still no luck as all of them say that he isn't on their record. Then, Kirill goes to his workplace. He gets into his boss's office and asks for an early pay. He explains that he has just lost his property and needs money for rent. But, not even his boss recognizes him and looks at him weirdly. The boss then gives Kirill his business card thinking he's there for a job. No luck with his boss, Kirill tries to make the receptionist remember her. He tells her they took a selfie last night. He even snatches her phone to search for the photo, but he couldn't find it. He starts to make noises, until a lot of people crowd around him. He calls some of his colleagues but none of them recognize him. Frustrated by the condition, Kirill storms into Katya's apartment. Not recognizing who Kirill is, Katya reacts scared and gives him money instead. Kirill keeps shouting at him until Katya explains he doesn't even know any Kirill. Not knowing where to go, Kirill calls his dad. When he sees him, he waves, confirming that he still recognizes Kirill. However, when his dad walks toward him, he just walks past him. Kirill then calls his dad. He turns but proceeds to ask him who Kirill is. Kirill explains that he is his son, but his dad gets annoyed and says that he has no son. Still not sure, he calls his mom, but of course, she also doesn't recognize him. It hit him hard that he is alone now, erased from this world. Desperate, he goes back to see the woman in his apartment, Renata Ivanovna, to ask for an explanation. Feeling impatient, Kirill grabs a knife and points it towards her. Instead of being afraid, Renata grabs Kirill's hand and forces him to stab her. A neighbor comes in and sees Renata lying on the ground with blood. Kirill goes to him asking for help, but he knocks him off instead. Then, Kirill wakes up in the back of a police car, just like in the first scene. He follows the direction on his phone to an abandoned tower. With nowhere else to go, Kirill decides to spend the night there. When he wakes up the next morning, it's like he wakes up in a very different place. The tower magically tidies up itself. Then, he hears a knock on the door. It's a postman bringing him mail. Suddenly, Renata Ivanovna appears from another door, alive and well. Upstairs, Renata explains that Kirill was reborn, and he has no choice but to stay in the new place named Kim-gim. She then tells him to change clothes, but the wardrobe is empty. Renata explains that he has to focus on what he wishes for, and Kirill finds a wardrobe full of clothes after doing so. Renata begins to explain that they're at the intersection of the worlds and Kirill is going to be the customs officer. Outside, Renata is calling her boss, known as the curator. Renata tells him that Kirill is the right choice. Wanting to meet his friend, Kirill calls Katya pretending to be a job applicant. He then takes some photos of the Kim-gim world for Katya. Katya wants to see the place in the photo, so Kirill brings him to the tower. Looking at Kim-gim world with his own eyes, Katya is really amazed. Then, a man comes from one of the doors for transit. He also registers his goods, just like in the customs office in general. When they're still talking, other visitors come. Anna's recruiter, Anton Vladimirovich, along with Anna who is Kirill's now ex-girlfriend. Kirill greets her but of course, she doesn't recognize him. Kirill is devastated seeing his ex-girlfriend with another man. So, He decides to follow the couple to their dinner. Seeing the new world on their way, Katya becomes more excited to explore Kim-gim. He even asks Kirill to take some photos of him. They then arrive at the restaurant, but no one is there. Suddenly, a robot gets aggressive and attacks them. Kirill fights the robot like a ninja. He hops from a wall to another. Kirill grabs a sword to attack the robot, but before he can swing the sword, the robot disappears by itself. After the fight, Katya shows Kirill his photos when fighting the robot. Then, a drop of blood falls on them. Upstairs, they find a woman with a cut throat, named Rose. After Kirill gives her water just as she asks for, Rose gets up like nothing happened. She reveals that Kirill is being tested and she was against the idea, that's why she got her throat cut. Kirill asks who wants to test him, but she won't answer. She also informs Kirill that in this world, water can heal any wound in their bodies. She explains that Kirill is no longer a human being. To prove it, she freezes the water in the tub, forcing Kirill to break free by himself. Kirill heats himself up with his new power, making him able to free from the ice. Not long after, Anton and Anna finally arrive. Kirill finally gets acquainted with Anton and Anna. However, deep inside, Kirill is angry for not being recognized by his lover. Missing her so badly, Kirill visits Anna in her apartment. He confesses to her that he opened the door to the beach thinking of her, which makes Anna surprised by the confession. She asks if they knew each other, and he finally confesses. Later, they go on a date around the city, playing in the park and having fine dining. They even go to the beach to swim together. Kirill picks some of the oranges and throws it at Anna playfully, spending the rest of the day together. Kirill then brings Anna to his welcoming party. While Rose is bringing Anna to the ladies' room, Renata introduces Kirill to their colleagues. Everybody seems excited to have him as a new colleague. In the ladies' room, Rose is trying to convince Anna to stay away from Kirill. She tells Anna that she and Kirill won't be able to live happily as they live in separate worlds. Kirill looks around for Anna, then he bumps into someone named Felix. Turns out, Felix used to be a customs officer, just like Kirill. Felix shares that they can free themselves from the leash, but they will end up in exile camp should they fail. In addition, there is a certain world called Archon where the rulers of the world reside. However, Rose comes to interrupt them before Felix can go into the details. Kirill then continues to search for Anna, but when he finds her, she is already outside while looking at Kirill in jealousy. Kirill tries to explain things, but Anna won't listen to him. After Anna leaves, the inspection lady comes. This time, she asks Kirill to open the door to Archon. She explains that Archon is a replica of our own world, only 30 years ahead. She convinces Kirill that opening the door to Archon will help save the world, as Archon can be used as a rough draft, so we can avoid conflicts and disasters coming to the real world. Unbeknownst to Kirill, Anna is being kidnapped by a mysterious man. She tries to call Kirill multiple times, but he is busy with the inspection lady. When Kirill is finally able to call her back, her phone is already inactive. Kirill recklessly goes to Anna's apartment even though it is more than his travel limit. He is already dying even before he can reach her house. Luckily, there's snow on the sidewalk, so he eats them to heal. The man who kidnaps Anna turns out to be Anton's colleague. When he tells Anton that Anna's gone, Anton gets mad at him. Anton tricks him into getting into a van and locks him inside. Then, he sends the van away so the man in the van can suffer. When Anton finally breaks him free, he threatens to tell him where Anna is or he'll let him die. Of course, the man decides to let him know of Anna's location. Knowing that Kirill is the closest to Anna, Anton informs Kirill of Anna's location. Kirill then wastes no time and comes to the world Anton mentioned. It turns out to be the exile camp Felix had told him earlier. There, he meets another customs officer, Vasilissa. Vasilissa gives Kirill a custom knife handmade by her. She gives it a spell so Kirill can pick it up without even touching it. At her place, Vasilissa tells Kirill the story of her world. She is convinced that the people there are happy to stay, even though we know they're not since they're exiled there. Vasilissa's employees then bring newcomers to the place, and Kirill notices one of them being Anna. After taking care of the newcomers, Vasilissa asks Kirill if he wants to give a speech in front of her people to motivate them. Kirill sees this as an opportunity to save Anna. So when it's his turn to speak, he manipulates the people there to toss Vasilissa in the air. While they crowd around Vasilissa, Kirill quickly grabs Anna away from that place. Unfortunately, Vasilissa manages to chase him. They fight intensely, and Kirill is losing. Until, the people find them and try to toss her back into the air again. They both make it back to the tower after the intense fight. Suddenly, Katya comes in, revealing himself to be curator. Kirill tries to attack Katya with a knife, but Katya is stronger than him as he is the curator himself. Katya punishes him by changing his travel limit to only 50 meters, to further make him bound to the place. Ignoring his new travel limit, Kirill brings Anna to the beach. Even though he suffers badly, he still tries to move further. Kirill almost died, until Anna magically breaks Kirill's leash, setting him free. When he realizes he's free, he brings Anna back to the tower and prepares for vengeance. When he goes downstairs, a new door suddenly opens, prompting him to get into the unknown world. Kirill is looking at the city when a man approaches him. The man's name is Alexandrovich. He then reveals that this world is no other than Archon. Alexandrovich brings Kirill through the city. He informs Kirill that today in Archon is the day that Hitler will attack the Soviet Union. But in Archon, it doesn't happen, because they have prevented it a long time ago after learning the impact in Kirill's world. Turns out, Archon is not the rough draft, Kirill's world is the rough draft instead. The Archon's rulers prevent bad things happening there after seeing the things from Kirill's real world. Alexandrovich also tells that he used to be a customs officer too, before his office got destroyed, leading to Archon creating and controlling other worlds. All the disasters in Kirill's world happened, only for Archon to avoid them. Angry with the truth, Kirill tries to leave, but the nice Alexandrovich turns crazy. He and all the robots attack Kirill. Kirill jumps in the water so he can heal and swims to an underwater pipe. Luckily, he makes it back to the tower in one piece. But, Renata is already waiting for him there. Kirill tries to run upstairs to check on Anna, but Renata destroys the stairs which make Kirill angry. He shouts at her asking for Anna. Renata even destroys the building to prevent Kirill from finding Anna. Renata attacks Kirill with bricks around her. Kirill, who now knows what he is capable of, fights her back with all of his might. When they're close enough, Kirill stabs her without doubt. With that, she collapses with the tower. Kirill wakes up in a bad shape in the middle of the ruin. He answers a call from his mom, meaning he is no longer erased from the world. Katya is also already waiting for him outside. He manages to convince Kirill that he can't save Anna if we don't save this world first. Kirill then asks why he wears glasses all this time if he didn't even need it. Katya answers playfully and they laugh together. In the end, we know that Archon is not the answer for our problems. But the good thing is, Kirill is finally at peace with his new job. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.